Paul. Harold Westerberg is an American musician, best known as the lead singer, guitarist and songwriter in The Replacements, one of the seminal alternative rock bands of the 1980s. He launched a solo career after the dissolution of that band. In recent years, he has cultivated a more independent-minded approach, primarily recording his music at home in his basement. The Replacements. In the late 1970s, Westerberg was working as a janitor for U.S. Senator David Durenberger, and one day while walking home from work, he happened to hear a band practicing Yes's Roundabout in a basement. He talked his way into the band by convincing the singer that the other band members Bob Stinson, Chris Mars and Tommy Stinson were going to fire him. The singer quit and Westerberg joined the group. The band was originally called The Impediments, and played their first gig in the basement of a church, playing to members of a nearby halfway house who did not appreciate their drunken shenanigans, but they soon changed their name to The Replacements after several venues declined to advertise the band under their original name. The Replacements quickly made a name for themselves in the Twin Cities punk scene, largely thanks to Westerberg's songwriting and their classic rock-friendly punk presentation. The band made several critically acclaimed albums for local label Twin Tone before signing to Sire Records in 1985. Despite the jump to Sire, The Replacements never translated their critical success into commercial sales. The band broke up in 1990. Their final album, All Shook Down, was for all intents and purposes a Westerberg solo project. There are numerous guest performers and the other three members of the band made minimal contributions. Mars left the band during this project. After touring for the album with Replacements, Westerberg and Stinson went their separate ways. Solo work. Westerberg's first official work appeared in the form of two songs, Waiting for Somebody, and Dyslexic Heart, for the soundtrack to the 1992 Cameron Crowe film Singles, for which he is also credited with composing and performing the score. The following year Reprise Records released his first solo album, 14 Songs. During the interim between solo albums, Westerberg songs appeared on Melrose Place and Friends television soundtracks, in 1994 and 1995 respectively. In 2007, Dyslexic Heart was used in Smart People movie trailer, a selection made by music supervisor Serena Underkoffler. Westerberg co-wrote the song Backlash with Joan Jett for her 1991 album Notorious, and played guitar with her on a video of the song. He also recorded a duet with Jett for the Tank Girl soundtrack. In 1996, he released his second solo album, the appropriately titled Eventually, which was tepidly received by critics and had modest sales. It did yield the alternative radio hit, Love Untold. Westerberg parted ways with Reprise Records and the following year chose to release songs that were more blues-influenced and less slickly produced under the name Grandpa Boy. An EP and single were released by indie label Soundproof Monolith Records. His third album, Swicane Gratifaction, is a piano-driven, melancholy, and highly personal work. The album was released on Capitol Records in 1999. The label was undergoing reorganization, and failed to push the album. Westerberg appeared on a fifth-season episode of The Larry Sanders Show performing Ain't Got Me from Eventually. The episode first aired on February 26, 1997. Westerberg also performed the song that same year on The Tonight Show hosted by Jay Leno. Westerberg then quit the major label circuit and disappeared for 3 years before staging a major comeback in 2002. With new management and a new independent label, Vagrant Records, he released 2 records simultaneously, Stereo and Mono. Stereo and Mono were recorded in Westerberg's basement studio. They were acclaimed as his best works since The Replacements, and Westerberg became increasingly prolific, releasing Dead Man Shake, Come Feel Me Tremble, and Foco all within the next 2 years to critical success. Westerberg contributed a cover of the Beatles' Nowhere Man for the 2002 soundtrack to the 2001 film I Am Sam. Additionally, Lookin' Up in Heaven appears on the Starbucks sampler Hear Music, Volume 10, Reveal, Out of My System can be found on Hot Stove, Cool Music, Volume 1, and the Vagrant Record sampler Another Year on the Streets, Volume 3 features As Far as I Know. All 3 compilations were released in 2004. In December 2005, Westerberg reconvened with Tommy Stinson and Chris Mars to record 2 new songs for a compilation titled Don't You Know Who I Think I Was?, which was released in 2006. In 2006, Westerberg took on the challenge of writing a collection of songs for the animated film Open Season. In all, the soundtrack includes 8 new Westerberg originals. It is unique in that 2 of the songs were covered by other artists. The track Wild as I Wanna Be is performed by Death Ray, whereas Pete Yorn performs I Belong. In addition, Tommy Stinson is featured playing bass on the songs Love You in the Fall, and Right to Arm Bears. The soundtrack also includes the song Good Day from Westerberg's solo album Eventually. The album is rounded out by 2 non-Westerberg originals, Death Ray's own I Wanna Lose Control, and the Talking Heads' 1986 hit Wild Wild Life. Seen on stage playing a first-act production model guitar, Westerberg joined creative forces with the Boston-based guitar manufacturer to create his signature edition PW580 in September 2006. Built with a red plaid pigbid, the guitar was designed to be mean and lean. On July 17, 2008 it was announced that on June 49 Paul Westerberg would release an album with 49 minutes worth of music for 49 cents. The album, 4900 Of Your Time Life, was released on July 21, 2008. A few weeks after 4900 was released, it was taken down from Amazon.com and TuneCore Store. In its place, Westerberg released a song titled 505. From the lyrical content of 505, it is believed that 4900 was recalled due to copyright issues in the ending cover medley. On August 27, 2008, Westerberg released 2 new songs, 3 O'Clock Creep, and Finally Here Once, on TuneCore. On September 13, 2008, another new song Board of Education was released as an MP3 download on Amazon.com. On December 24, 2008, Westerberg released 3 songs. Always in a Manger, Streets of Laredo, and DGT on TuneCore.com for 74 cents. On September 22, 2009, Westerberg released an EP titled PW and the Ghost Gloves Catwing Joy Boys with 6 songs, Ghost on the Canvas, Drop Them Gloves, Good as the Cat, Love on the Wing, Gimme Little Joy, and Dangerous Boys. Upon Alex Chilton's death in March 2010, Westerberg wrote a eulogy for one of his biggest influences that appeared in the New York Times. In May 2010, he played Dangerous Boys and Time Flies Tomorrow standing on the visitors' dugout at Target Field for the documentary, 40 Nights of Rock and Roll. Westerberg appeared in the video for the title track of Glenn Campbell's 2011 Farewell to Studio recording, a cover of Ghost on the Canvas. In the online, May 24, 2013 version of the New York Times Measure for Measure feature, he set forth his songwriting creed, which privileges the virtues of inspiration and spontaneity over gradually developing and revising a song. Personal life: Westerberg was born in Edina, Minnesota, the son of Mary Louise and Harold Robert Westerberg. He married his first wife, Lori Bizza, in the 1980s. After their divorce, he became married to former Zuzu's Petals guitarist and author Lori Lindeen. They divorced in 2014. They have a son, Johnny, whose voice is likely on 4900 and Whatever Makes You Happy from Westerberg's solo album Swicane Gratifaction. Westerberg severely injured his fretting hand in 2006 in an accident while trying to remove candle wax with a screwdriver, leaving his ring finger on his left hand numb. His band The Replacements have since reunited, notably playing at both Riot Fest in 2013 and Coachella Music Festival in 2014. He resides in Edina, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis. His younger sister, Mary Lucia, is a DJ at local radio station 89.3 The Current. He is influenced by several artists, including Alex Chilton of Big Star, about whom he wrote a song on 1987's Pleased to Meet Me. Westerberg is a recovering alcoholic, reported to have been sober since 1990. Discography =DVD Come Feel Me Tremble Readline Entertainment Ventura Distribution Studio albums 14 songs, Eventually, Swicane Gratifaction, Stereo, Come Feel Me Tremble, Foca. Equals self-released MP3 EPs equals, 4900. Of Your Time Life, 3 O'Clock Reap, Board of Education, DGT, PW and the Ghost Gloves Catwing Joy Boys. Equals studio albums as Grand for Boy equals, Grand for Boy EP, Grand for Boy, Mono, Grand for Boy, Dead Man Shake. Equals soundtracks and compilations equals, singles, original motion picture soundtrack a Euro Dyslexic Heart, and Waiting for Somebody, Melrose Place soundtrack a Euro A Star Is Bored, Friends soundtrack a Euro Sunshine, and Stain Your Blood, Tank Girl soundtrack a Euro Let's Do It, with Joan Jett 1 Sam soundtrack a Euro Nowhere Man, a Beatles cover, TriPleaRadio.com sampler 5 a Euro My Daydream, Hear Music, Volume 10, Reveal a Euro Looking Up in Heaven, Hot Stove, Cool Music, Volume 1 a Euro Out of My System, Another Year on the Streets, Volume 3 a Euro As Far As I Know, The Wired CD, RIP. Sample. Mash. Share. A Euro Looking Up in Heaven, Westerberg, The Best of Paul Westerberg, Open Season, featuring the songs of Paul Westerberg, for New Orleans a Euro Old Money. Catch and Release a Euro Let the Bad Times Roll. References. External links, The Skyway, ColorMeImpressed.com a Euro The Unofficial Replacements Database, Man Without Ties a Euro The Paul Westerberg Site, paulwesterberg.net, A Bad Idea Whose Time Has Come.